Good afternoon, everybody. Anthony Aniano here from RotoBaller Radio and RotoBaller.com as we continue our fantasy football preview series, taking a look at some mid-round sleeper tight ends. Folks, don't forget, head over to RotoBaller.com right now. Check out everything we have there, the main page, the premium package, you name it. RotoBaller.com, the place to be. And sign up now for our Premium Pass. Use the promotional code ACES and save on that NFL Premium Pass. Take advantage of the team sync tools, lineup optimizers, draft rankings, waiver wire options, you name it. RotoBaller.com, the place to be. Like and subscribe right here to the RotoBaller YouTube channel, okay? And download the RotoBaller app. It's free. Everything you get on RotoBaller.com right there in the palm of your hand. DFS, season-long, premium, or regular packages all included in the online app as well for RotoBaller.com. And if you are getting ready to play your fantasy football season and you're looking for a little bit more, take a minute and check out our good friends at the FFPC, the home of season-long fantasy football. It's been 14 years since the FFPC filled their first league, and they've grown to be one of the world's largest league commissioners. Not a single FFPC league has ever folded, and leagues are forming right now. FFPC has plenty of great slow draft and live draft formats, including best ball drafts starting at $35. Best of all, every RotoBaller listener and viewer will get $25 off their first FFPC contest. Go to rotoballer.com/FFPC to take advantage of this offer, and don't miss out on the FFPC experience, the home of season-long fantasy football. All right, everybody, hopefully you've seen the mid-round and late-round videos featuring the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver position. Now it's time to talk about the tight end position. Now, I'm recording this. It is Thursday, August 24th, so obviously things can happen as we head into preseason week 3 and then get ready for the start of the season. Drafts are ramping up, obviously, as we approach that opening kickoff. NFL season starts Sunday, September 11th, obviously the Thursday night game a few nights earlier than that. Now, understand my tight end strategy has changed a little bit over the year, especially this year. I'm looking for one of those top 7 tight ends. Kelsey, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert. Full disclosure, I don't have any stock in Travis Kelsey at this point. I haven't had him in a first-round pick in anything I've done. I haven't had a first-round pick really early enough to walk away with Travis Kelsey. Most of my tight ends have been the Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert range of tight end. If you draft one of those top 7, you feel good, you plug, you play, you walk away, and barring injury, you're in pretty good shape. Now, if you miss one of those 7, things get a little sketchy. You're hoping for double-digit numbers. There are some okay plays in the mid-rounds, and those are some of those tight ends we're going to talk about today. And number 1 is Evan Ingram of the Jacksonville Jaguars, consensusly ranked right after Dallas Goedert. Some people kind of have him in that class. I don't. I have him just on the outside there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, current ADP has him going in round 8, 8.6, using the NFFC ADP analysis as my talking point for this video. And I've shrunk down that sample size. That ADP is going just from August 1st till now. So really the most recent ADPs as we get closer and closer to kickoff. So Evan Ingram currently going as the 6th pick in the 8th round. Overall pick about 91.29. He's going off the board as tight end 8. Okay, now last season, arguably the best season of his career is with the Jacksonville Jaguars. 73 receptions on 98 targets, 766 yards. About 45 yards per game and 10.5 yards per reception. Only finished the season with 4 touchdowns, okay? He averaged 7.8 yards per target. He finished, though, last season, surprisingly, in a PPR format as tight end 5 with 176.9 fantasy points. Now, remember, Waller missed time due to injury. Pitts missed time due to injury. Goddard missed time due to injury, allowing Evan Ingram to slide up to tight end 5. He averaged 10.4 fantasy points per game. And in my opinion, outside of those first 7 that I mentioned at the start, if you get double-digit fantasy points out of your tight end, you're treading water, you're doing okay, and your wide receivers and running backs that you focused on in the first 7 rounds of the draft are hopefully carrying you and allowing that 10-point game out of your tight end. Now, Evan Ingram's value is kind of capped this year. Remember, last season he was kind of option 2 for Trevor Lawrence. It was Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram there in the passing game. Calvin Ridley is now there. Does he repeat the 98 targets? That could be tough, although I would still expect him to be somewhere in the mid-80s as this Jaguars offense continues to get better under Trevor Lawrence in year 3. 766 yards, again, kind of the ceiling for Evan Ingram. Where I do see the opportunity to improve, though, is 4 touchdowns. The tight end touchdown numbers can fluctuate year in and year out. 4 touchdowns seems low for a guy who is a major factor in a high-powered Jacksonville Jaguars offense. An offense I do expect to be significantly even better than it was last year. So even if we lose a little bit of targets, you lose a little bit of yardage, if we could get 7 or 8 touchdowns out of Evan Ingram, we'll be okay. 45 yards per game is kind of where you're at for these second and third groupings of tight ends. Second tight end I wanted to mention today, Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Currently going as tight end 9, right after Evan Ingram, and about a round later at pick 9.8. Overall pick 104.76. Same targets as Evan Ingram's 98, and I expect that number to kind of be the same. What has Pittsburgh done in the passing game? George Pickens, Deontay Johnson still there. Chase Claypool was shipped out last season. This Calvin Austin can make an impact this year in year 2. Freiermuth has shown improvement each of his first 2 seasons. Second year in the league, okay, 98 targets, 63 receptions, 732 yards. Only 2 touchdowns last year. But again, go back to what I said about touchdowns coming year in and year out being unreliable. In 2021, Freiermuth's rookie season, he had 9 touchdowns. So we don't know. Those touchdowns are always difficult to predict. Year 2 of Kenny Pickett, Pat Freiermuth remains a very reliable target for Pickett and could see more red zone work. 45.8 yards per game and 11.6 yards per reception. He finished last season as tight end 7 with 148.2 fantasy points, an average of 9.9 fantasy points per game. So he's right there at that 10 points per game I'm looking at for tight ends at this point in my fantasy draft. And the third tight end I wanted to mention to you today here in the mid-round sleeper range, take a look at Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans, former Cowboy, signs with Houston. Dallas didn't really show much interest in him, okay? Currently going as tight end 11, late in the 10th round at 10.11. One pick, 121.94. Last season, 57 receptions on 89 targets, 577 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, his 2021 season, 2 years ago with Dallas, he was fantastic with 104 targets, 78 receptions, 808 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Okay? Finished last season as tight end 10, 142.7 points, and averaging 9.5 fantasy points per game. But here's why I like Dalton Schultz this year, and I do have some Dalton Schultz shares, 1 or 2, I believe, okay, where I missed out on those top tight ends. That top 7, I skipped over Ingram, skipped over Freiermuth, and went with Dalton Schultz. Why? Every rookie quarterback's best friend is the tight end, a veteran tight end who knows how to create space and get open. I would expect, honestly, closer numbers to his 2021 than to his 2022. Tell me who the dominant receiver is going to be in Houston. It's a tough question to answer. There's a lot of young pieces there in Houston. Houston can rely on the run game of Dameon Pierce and the safety valve that is Dalton Schultz, especially in the red zone. Dalton Schultz, 13 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons for the Cowboys, knows how to get in the end zone. Houston's rookie quarterback Stroud could be involved with Dalton Schultz early and often as Stroud develops into a more of a dynamic playmaker. Expect him to be a game manager potentially early. Game managers lean on their tight ends. Dalton Schultz, especially in a PPR format, could be a nice pick at the end of round 10 for your fantasy draft. So to recap, 3 sleeper tight ends in the mid-rounds of your fantasy football draft. 1, Evan Ingram of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2, Pat Frymuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And 3, Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. Folks, give me a follow on Twitter at @Aniano Fantasy, and we'll see you next time right here on RotoBaller Radio.